Welcome, everyone. I'm Jeremy Benoit, Senior Product Manager on WP Engine's e-commerce product line. In this decode session, we're going to explore an age-old question that started in 2010, the year Google introduced page speed as a ranking factor for desktop searches. This new factor dramatically shifted the focus of site management, where every site owner, site developer, site manager, and even webmaster at some point asked, why is my site so slow? Now, no site is ever exempt from this question. There's always a point in the life cycle of site development where performance is lacking. Whether it be early on in its development, just prior to go live, after a version update, or simply due to content and data accumulation over a period of time. In each of those states and the life cycle of a site will have various answers to this question. In some cases, the answers may be the same for different stages of a life cycle. And the answers to this question, because there is rarely just one, could depend on a number of variables and configurations of your WordPress or WooCommerce site. So let's examine this question through the lens of a web app architecture with a focus on the front end, the presentation layer, the middleware, the business and data access layer, and the back end or the database layer. There are issues at each of these layers, and some issues can span across multiple layers. Investigating speed issues at these three layers allows us to address areas that we manage, areas beyond the scope of hardware and hosting services. And let's face it, there are performance problems that no reasonable costing hardware can solve. So with that, let's start examining and dispelling the myth that Woo or WordPress are inherently slow. Default WordPress with Woo is incredibly fast. And this goes back to our layers. So here, I'm going to start by spinning up a vanilla WordPress site with WooCommerce installed. Now, I'm just running through the steps quickly here on WP Engine's user portal. Now, from the Sites tab, I'll click Add Site and choose Build a New Site. So this is going to be my site. I'm not going to transfer it. So I'm going to choose Build an e-commerce site, and this will default add WooCommerce. It's also going to add some other Woo features, but I'm going to disable those for this test. So let's give the site a name, Woo Speed Test. We'll scroll to the bottom and click Add Site. Now this site is going to take a few minutes to build, but now when we visit the sites page, you'll see our new site is here, and we can jump over to the WordPress admin. Here you can see we have WooCommerce installed, and as a theme, I have the default 22 theme that is included with WordPress. Now I'm going to click into the plugins to show you I have removed all the plugins. We just have WooCommerce installed. And finally, here is the front end of the site. So you can see the store pages have all been added. The cart page, my account, checkout, and the WooCommerce default homepage shop. So we have our vanilla WooCommerce site. Now let's jump over to Google PageSpeed Insights and we can run a test. Now keep in mind, results will vary based on location and hosting. But if you have a decent host, we should get a score in the high 90s if it's not 100. So for mobile, we have a 98, and for desktop, we have 100. And if we scroll down to the diagnostics area, we can see what is causing the delay. You can see we have serve images in next-gen format, properly sized images, and eliminate render blocking resources. Now, all of these are related to the theme and images built into the theme. We'll look at ways to address these later in the session. And if we look at the desktop score, it's at 100, but some room for improvement with image optimization. Now, one note about the score is to remember that your page speed insight score is not a test. It's intended as a benchmark on performance to help you provide the best user experience. Anything above a 90 is considered excellent. Finally, keep in mind, page speed insights is a page speed analysis where each page will have a different result based on the site code, plugins, utilizations of assets, and assets loading on that specific page. Now, another critical component of performance optimization for WooCommerce is caching. There are a variety of tools for caching your site, and going back to the layers we discussed in the introduction, depending on the type of cache you apply to your site, it can improve the performance on a different layer, the front end or the back end or even in the middleware. Types of caching include browser cache, HTTP caching, content delivery network or the CDN, object caching, the caching of objects like images, and page caching. Last but not least, OP code caching. So I'm going to focus specifically on some quick wins with browser cache for Woo. But I want you to see that cache by itself could really be its own session. So a cache page loads on average 2 times faster than an uncached page. But setting up cache for a dynamic website like a store is tricky. Applying cache to dynamic content like forms or checkout pages can break functionality, even expose customer data to other visitors. So why? Because cache remembers what is on the page and then it delivers that to the next visitor. That means it loads very fast, but it doesn't work for any type of dynamic data, personalized shopping experiences, cart, checkout, or views of my accounts. So if a form is set to cache while user information is being entered, it would expose your data to the next request or the next visitor of that form. But simply deactivating cache means missing out on significant performance improvements. You shouldn't have to choose between performance and personalized shopping experiences. So WooCommerce cache exclusions are built into many of the most popular WordPress caching plugins. Implementing WooCommerce recommended exclusions can be as simple as activating a free plugin like WP Supercache, made by Automatic, the creators of WooCommerce. WooCommerce recommended exclusions do a decent job serving cached content for new visitors and first-time shoppers. But one significant issue is after a shopper has added even one item to the cart, your pages are no longer being cached from the server. Even blog posts and category pages are no longer served from cache. This is caused by the WP WooCommerce session cookie. That means the closer a visitor gets to making a purchase, the slower our pages load. So let me show you how to check this yourself using Lighthouse Insights. You can validate that your exclusions and cache are working properly by using Chrome developer tools. So first, you want to open Chrome and enter the URL. Right-click on the screen and select Inspect. Now switch to the Network tab and refresh the screen. As the page reloads, it'll generate a report with valuable information about your page performance. Click on the page extension and look under the responsive header information. If the page is being delivered by cache, it will show hit next to X cache. With the WooCommerce cookies, active pages will no longer be cached when the cookies are present. The pages will run slower, but you no longer run the risk of breaking functionality. Hehowever, not every page needs these cookies. So if you don't want to sacrifice performance for functionality, you will want to use a tool like EverCache for WooCommerce. This is a proprietary smart cache tool that intelligently bypasses WooCommerce cookies as needed to increase your cache hits by up to 90% for shoppers using the cart. This means visitors continue getting cache performance throughout the entire buyer journey. Now, it's a toggle control in the WP Engine portal, and it's included as part of our e-commerce solution. When active, EverCache ignores key cookies used by WooCommerce to optimize cache delivery for static pages. And if dynamic content is not on the page, it will continue to serve at top speed. Now that we've investigated caching with WooCommerce, let's talk about large media assets. Now, there are a ton of tools and information on this topic, but this continues to be the biggest offender of site performance. This is especially true for WooCommerce sites with large product catalogs. Now, every product page often requires multiple images for variations. And if any of these images are not properly optimized, it can dramatically impact the performance of a page. For a one-person operation with a methodical approach to this product creation, this should not be a problem. But if you are an agency turning the site over to a client to maintain and add products or upload videos, you're in an e-commerce business with a team. Proper media optimization can quickly become overlooked, invalidating all performance tuning or even slowing the fastest servers to a crawl. If you are doing this manually, you really need to stay on top of it. It's a task. Thankfully, many of these processes can be automated with tools like Page Speed Boost. Let me show you what this looks like. Just so you can understand the importance of a media file optimization, I'm going to use our vanilla WordPress and Woo site. I haven't changed anything. We're just going to add a single product. Now, I've got a title, black shirt. Here's a short description, black shirt with fabric. And I'll scroll down and add a price, $30. And let's put it on sale, $25. Then you can add a SKU, and Woo gives you a lot of options, but let's upload some images first. Now, these are stock images I pulled from the web. I'm going to add these to the product gallery here. They're about 5 megabytes each, which is actually smaller than some image formats taken with a phone camera. On upload, depending upon the theme, WordPress will make size variations to help, but these are still pretty large. Now we can publish that and look at the product page. Oh, I forgot to set the product image. In order for the gallery to show, we need to add a product image. We'll just choose one from the media library and update. Now, when you visit the product page, you can see our black shirt listing with all images, and it's on sale for $25. This is our site that has 100% speed benchmark on the home page. So let's run a test on this page now and see how it's running. Remember, nothing else is on this site. We have Woo, one product, and our unoptimized images. On mobile, we just dropped to a 52. That's nearly a 50% drop just by uploading 3 images and using them without properly optimizing them. And desktop is not bad at 95, but that's still a 5-point drop. Now, if we scroll down to the opportunities, we can see the 3 biggest offenders are images and theme code. Nothing to do with Woo or WordPress. And it's the same on mobile. The big offenders are images. And these will lead to slower page loads that will impact user experience and thus business performance and transactions. So what do we do? If you want to automate image optimization, there are a number of plugins in the repository that can do this. But I want to show you Page Speed Boost. It is a one-click solution in WP Engine. After it's installed and activated, you need to visit these pages without being logged in to trigger the optimization. And after that, it just takes a few minutes for the pages to run through the system, including image optimization. Now I'm going to go ahead and I've done this before. So now for the sake of the demo, you can see we have 6 pages optimized for both mobile and desktop. So let's rerun our page speed test and see what happens. Now we get a 99 on mobile and 100 on desktop. And you can see nearly all issues were automatically resolved, and I didn't need to go through my library and optimize the images one by one, or train anyone on my team to do it. So if you want, you can clean up these code-based issues or switch themes. But I think this was a massive success thanks to our PSB utility. Now, let's look at performance issues in the middleware of our website. Slow queries. Poor performing queries are often exacerbated by the data architecture of WooCommerce. Now, these performance inhibiting queries show up as a part of the server response time metric in Core Web Vitals. This is the result of page speed insights, and it can provide a measure of server response time. But it doesn't break down the issues creating that server response time, especially for these low scores. It would be helpful to know. Let's take a look at active query monitoring. It's a WP Engine proprietary tool for identifying and locating queries to help you optimize WooCommerce performance. Now, before I get started, this is a preliminary tool that's planned to be released later this quarter. And its ability gives you the identification of slow queries and the source code. It's information to help you validate that the speed of your site is slow. Now, again, I said this is a feature that's still in development, and some of the things you see here may not be exactly the same once this feature is in production. Now, first, I'm viewing the e-commerce feature on the site's overview page in the WP Engine user portal. And here you can see the active query monitor will be available and primarily to e-commerce premium customers. See, from this page, I'll click on Slow Query Monitor feature and click View Queries. And here I can see the collection of slow queries. And these are all of the queries that are impeding the page speed, particularly with dynamic content. Now, when viewing this list of slow queries, you can see the date and the duration of each query meeting the threshold of 500 milliseconds. Now, let's explore how you can get more insight into these queries. I'll click the Go to Details link to the far right, and now I can examine the details. From here, I can see comprehensive information about the query. There's a display of the date and time of the query execution, the duration of the query execution in seconds. Here's a request URL where the query was initiated. But most importantly, here's the source file of the query and the asset types which are provided. So whether it's originating from WooCommerce Core, a specific plugin, or a custom theme, this will give you the information of knowing where exactly to find this issue. So let's emphasize the value here. With the source and the line number, it clearly indicates you're not just identifying a problem. You're pointed directly to where in your code base the issue lies. So in addition to the source identification, you have the actual query at your fingertips, along with other key metadata. So this comprehensive view allows you to fully understand the context and the path to address the impact of your slow queries. I mean, imagine being provided a map, giving you the ability to navigate to the specified file and line number of the problematic query. Well, that's exactly what this does, and we'll do it next. So I'll open my terminal, and I'm going to search for the source code file provided by the query details. And I'll search for the example file, and once it loads, I'll scroll down to line 25. And here's exactly where I can see the problematic query. And in this case, I set the query to sleep, exceeding the threshold for this demonstration purposes. Now, our active query monitoring provides you with all the details you need to take action, whether optimizing the query yourself or forwarding these details to the development team responsible for managing your site. You are equipped to ensure WooCommerce Store is one step closer, providing shoppers with the best experience. As I've stated at the start, there are a variety of issues that contribute to poor site performance. Now, we focused on a few you can manage. Now, when you hear yourself or someone ask that age-old question, why is my site so slow? You'll have 3 critical areas to review. I hope the session has been helpful, and thank you.